Hi guys, my name is Ara and this is Rozara's Investments. Now I don't often make videos about poker, but those of you that know me know that I used to be a professional poker player and I still do play probably about 40 hours a week. I play for profit and also for fun. So one topic of conversation that came up last week is pocket jacks and how much everyone always complains about pocket jacks. And to be honest, pocket jacks is actually my fourth favorite hand after pocket aces, pocket kings, and pocket queens. So I was joking and I said that I was going to give people lessons on pocket jacks and charge them $200 for the lesson. And I was also going to make a YouTube video about it. But the thing is, it's actually probably a pretty good idea to make a video and actually give people lessons on how to play pocket jacks. So I figure people that play pretty often might lose hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month misplaying pocket jacks, either losing too much or when they win, they don't win enough money. So while I'm not in the business of making my opponents better players, because in general, if you are playing 1-2 no limit at your local casino, I would stereotype you as a very, very bad poker player. So I don't want you to be a better poker player if you're playing against me, but I just think this is such a fun topic, so I thought I'd make a quick video on it. So here goes, let me take a shot. So first of all, I think there are two major ways that you can group pocket jacks in your mind, kind of in your mind, the way you think of it. And one is you can think of jacks closer to pocket aces and think of it as a premium hand that you should be re-raising with, that you should be aggressive with. When lower cards come on the flop, you should think of it as an overpair. And the other way that you can think of pocket jacks is closer to a hand like pocket twos, where you're playing it hopefully for small amounts of money pre-flop and you would like to either flop a set or get rid of your hand. So I think that I would like to delve into these two major camps of thought and just dissect them a little bit pre-flop. So first of all, as most people know, position is a major factor in a poker game. And I would argue that position is almost more important than the actual cards that you're dealt, in live poker anyway. So I am, as people that have played with me know, I am very, very active and aggressive when I'm in the cutoff position and I'm on the button. And I'm a very tight player when I'm under the gun or UTG +1. So when I have pocket jacks, it really, really depends on what position I'm in, what the people that have already acted, what they've done, and what I think that people are going to do in the future, in the near future. So let's say I am close to under the gun. I am not super excited about my hand because I don't know what other people have yet. So if I'm in a 1-2 game, I don't always raise to the same amount, but just to give you an example of something that I might do sometimes is I might toss in $12. If this is a very aggressive table, I might toss in $14. I might toss in $10. I might toss in $7. I do mix it up, and I try to not raise the same amount always when I have the same hand, when I'm in the same position, or I don't try to raise based on my cards. I raise based more on the mood of the table. So sometimes when I have pocket jacks, I might raise to 14. Sometimes I might just limp in for 2. Sometimes I might go to 12. You know, it really depends. And I usually try to do a different number than I have previously done if I've already had that hand before. So let's say that I raise to $12 pre-flop, which is probably a standard raise for a 1-2 no limit hold'em game. So I think that a lot of times if I'm under the gun and I raise to 12, a few people are going to call the $12. I would expect on average about 2 people to call the $12. It's more or less depending on whether it's a tight game or a loose game, but I think that's a standard amount of people. So if I get re-raised at any point, then I'm going to think of my pocket jacks more like I have pocket twos. So let's say someone re-raises me to $25. Let's say it's someone in early position just like me, and they re-raise me to $25. Sometimes people do this to find out where they are, but on a 1-2 no limit game, it is really not common for players to do that. And I would assume that they are re-raising me based solely on the strength of their hand. Remember, most 1-2 no limit hold'em players are not professionals, and they do not want to look stupid. They do not want to make the wrong play and feel like they are going to be criticized by the rest of the table. Now, professional players really don't care about this, but when you are an amateur player and you're playing 1 or 2 times a week and poker is not your sole source of income, you don't want to feel like you made the wrong play. You don't want to feel stupid at the table. So when a player re-raises you, there's a very, very likely chance that they have a hand like pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, and ace king. So just to give you a very stupid statistic, very last time someone close to min-raised me, they had pocket kings. So I would definitely play my pocket jacks closer to the way I played pocket twos. So if I was to raise to 12, someone was to raise to 40, no one else gives any action, then I think it is perfectly fine to fold pocket jacks if you're playing on a normal 1-2 no limit game, because that's what I would do with pocket twos. If the person is not super deep stack and I don't feel like I can make loads of money if I flop a set against their pocket kings or whatever they have, then I probably will just not play the hand in the first place. And I think this is a very important concept. You don't have to lose a lot of money with pocket jacks. Now, let's say I raise to 12, someone else calls 12, someone else calls 12, and then someone in position raises to $40. Now, if I had pocket twos, I would probably call $28 more with the hopes of causing a chain reaction and having the next guy call $28 and the next guy call $28. And I would do this for 2 reasons. One, because this is probably what I would do with a small pocket pair, because it is going to be a probable multi-way pot. And I think that if I flop a set, I can make a lot of money. But the second reason is because if someone raises in position, even if it's a 1-2 table, they don't necessarily have the premium hands. I would say, again, on a 1-2 table, people don't want to look stupid, so it's highly likely that a person that raises to $40 in position could have pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, or ace king suited, but it is not a definite when they're in position. So in addition to having a playing pocket jacks like a small pocket pair, I realized that I could also have the best hand. And depending on the player, if they are an extremely active player and they've shown a high tendency to bluff, to be active, to get in the mix, then I think that I might even re-raise. And I would only do this in situations where I am probably 80% sure or more that the person has a worse hand than pocket jacks. And I would just base that on experience. I've played a lot of poker. And the reason I'd like to be 80% sure is because if I'm wrong and they do have a hand like pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, then I am only going to have 20% chance of winning the pot. So I only do this in situations where I am reasonably sure that pocket jacks is the best hand, which sometimes you can tell at the table. Sometimes you can tell when a player is, mixing it up with hands like, ace 9 offsuit and pocket fives and, stuff like that. And if you're against that type of player, pocket jacks rates to be the best hand, and you can go ahead and 4-bet with it. Otherwise, I would just play pocket jacks like I have pocket twos, call the $40, hope it causes a chain reaction. Now, 4 people are in the pot for $40 each. We got $160, and if we flop a jack, we're golden. In general, if this is the situation that I'm in, because I am thinking of my hand more like a pocket twos type of hand, then I am not hoping for cards like 3, 7, and 10 to come on the flop, because I'm not hoping for an overpair, because is it very, very easy to have me beat when I have pocket jacks as an overpair, because one, they could have pocket aces, they could have pocket kings, pocket queens, but in a flop like 10-7-3, they could also have a hand like pocket 10s, pocket 7s, or pocket 3s. So there are many ways to have pocket jacks beat. So in this situation, I would act very cautiously. I would probably check to being first, and I would only continue with the hand if I sensed weakness, like if they bet an amount that was abnormal, like if they only bet $40 on the flop. That's not the tendency of a 1-2 player. A 1-2 player, remember, I said they don't want to look stupid, and if they had a hand like pocket aces, they would probably want to protect their hand. They're in the mindset like they want to play this hand how they think is the correct way to play. So if they bet something abnormally small, I would call, and then I would start to think that pocket jacks, being an overpair, could definitely be the best hand, as long as no one check raises me in later decisions. So that's the one school of thought. Now, let's say I have pocket jacks in position as opposed to out of position. So someone raises to 12, someone else calls 12, someone else calls 12, and now I have pocket jacks and I'm in position. I like to mix it up here. Again, pocket jacks can be thought of closer to pocket aces or pocket twos. So sometimes I like to call the $12 and kind of disguise the strength of my hand a little bit, especially if the person that raised is exactly under the gun and they raised to $12 or $15, which is 7.5 big blinds right under the gun. And the reason I like to disguise my hand is, one, because I want to sometimes be tricky. I mean, just in general, I like to be tricky sometimes, and I think it benefits me overall to be tricky. And I think with the chances of the person under the gun actually having pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, even though I don't necessarily think that's what they have the majority of the time, I think this is a good opportunity to be a little bit tricky with pocket jacks. Now, if it is kind of an active player, if it is a player with a kind of a short to medium stack that seems to be playing more than an average amount of hands, if they're going to go to $12 or $15 in earlier position, someone else calls, then I probably will go ahead and put in a raise. And I'm going to raise an amount that's enough to take down the pot. So I think an amount that I would probably raise to, just to give you a ballpark, might be $55, might be a good example. And if someone goes to 15, someone calls 15, I raise to 55, I think having an extra $40 on the table is an amount that people can fold to. And it kind of doesn't scream what my hand is, because this is an amount that I would also go to with pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, ace king suited, ace queen, and I would also do it with some bluffing hands like ace 5 suited. I might do it with pocket threes. I might do it with a variety of different hands if I thought that was the right situation to get aggressive. So I don't think I'm giving away the strength of my hand by raising in position, because this is a common enough play that I could have pocket jacks or I could have a variety of other hands. So now I raised to 55. Now it's on the next guy. So if the person that originally raised decides to put in a big re-raise, then I go back into that train of thought of I'm on a 1-2 table and this person wants to try to outplay me. In general, most of the players I play against know that I am at least a semi-professional or at least a decent thinking player, and they don't want to look stupid and play their hands wrong against me. Sometimes when people know that I'm a professional player, they might go for a little trickiness and they might actually make a play against me. But in general, people know me as a pretty good thinking player, maybe a semi-professional, maybe someone that makes a few $1,000s a month playing poker. And in general, they're not trying to make moves against me. They want to play their hands so that they feel like they played them correctly against me. So if I raise to 55 in position like that and someone comes over the top, let's say they go to $150, in general, they have what they are representing. They have pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, or ace king suited. And in general, I can fold knowing that I made the right play. And I would say from experience, 95% of the time when I do fold pocket jacks, it is the right play. So I don't regret my decision that 1 out of 20 times that I make the wrong play. So if I were playing on a harder table, my frequency of folds might change, but I think that's another video because most of the people watching this are 1-2 no limit players and play for buy-ins of $300 or less. So the other situation that could come up is that the person that originally went to the 15 folds, and let's say someone went to 15, someone calls 15, I went to 55. That person that called the $15, let's say he goes over the top. In general, I'm going to give him action with my pocket jacks. In general, his first decision was to call the $15, meaning he has a weaker hand than pocket jacks. So if he does decide to re-raise, especially if he only has $150 or $200 in his stack, he's taking this opportunity to gamble, hoping that I'm getting a little bit out of line going to the 55. So if that original caller re-raises, I'm generally going with my pocket jacks. So if that original caller decides to call the 55, I'm also happy, and I think pocket jacks is probably going to be the best hand. So I would look out for flops that have an ace, because if he called 15, he could have a hand like ace 10 suited or ace queen suited, and he could also have a hand like a pocket pair. So If he decides to get super aggressive on the flop, turn, and river, I might decide to lay down my pocket jacks thinking he might have flopped a set on me. But other than those two situations, I would generally think that I do have the best hand, while I'm not afraid to fold the hand as if I only had pocket twos. In this situation, I think pocket jacks is quite often the winner. So I hope this video helped you guys, and I hope you guys find this somewhat entertaining, because this is a topic that just comes up so much on the poker table. Everyone's complaining about pocket jacks. And I just want you to know that it is my 4th favorite hand in poker. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and if you do like this video, I will make more poker videos in the future. Although I don't want to give away all my secrets, I don't mind giving away a couple of my secrets. Bye guys.